Good afternoon and welcome to the City Club of Eugene's April 24th, 2026 program, City Council Candidates, Wards 3 and 4. My name is Alyssa Gilbert, President of the City Club of Eugene, and it's my honor to welcome you to another of the many forums we've held since 1990 in the name of our mission to build community vision through open inquiry. City Club creates access to our local leaders and provides a platform for Eugene area community members to be heard. In light of the division we're experiencing in the world, I believe it's important now more than ever for us to gather as a community with curious minds and mutual respect. This space to listen, ask, learn, and gather is what City Club aims to provide to our community each week. We would love for you to browse our past programs at cityclubofueugene.org or our YouTube or Facebook. Please consider becoming a member if you'd like to support our rigorous volunteer work as Oregon's only city club that provides weekly forums. There are many ways to partner with us, and I'd like to thank our community sponsors. The University of Oregon has helped Oregonians question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically since 1876. Get more information at uoregon.edu. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. For more information, visit lanecc.edu. Thank you to Lane County for their generous support and to our web host 9 Planets, whose website support is critical to our functioning, making it easy to sign up as a member or to learn more about us. A quick reminder to please silence all cell phones in the hall. And with that, I turn the mic over to the coordinator of today's program, Eric Jura.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Jura, and I'm part of the City Club Program Committee. It's not good when your tech guy walks up to you right before you take the stage and he said, "I'm not sure the microphones are on," so don't worry, we'll get that straightened out. Anyway, welcome to this, the fifth and final primary campaign. Oh, wait, come on up, guys. Sorry, you don't have to wait there. Campaign forum. It's been a very interesting series of events, and I'm sure today's event will be no less so. A little bit of administrative stuff. The way we're going to do this is we're doing a moderated discussion today, and I'll talk about that here in a second. It's going to be divided into two parts. There'll be a short break in the middle of that. On your table, you will notice that there are some pens and some small squares of paper and so forth, because during the second half, the moderator will be asking questions of our guests that you have written. So please take advantage of that opportunity to write your questions down. Now on to today's program. So today we're hosting 4 candidates for the City Council race for Wards 3 and 4. From Ward 3, we have John Borowski and Jennifer Smith. The incumbent for that seat has chosen not to run. So one way or another, we're going to have a new city councilor in that seat. From Ward 4, we have incumbent Jennifer Yeh and challenger Tom Stedman. I'm not going to go through their biographies because we want to cover a lot of ground this afternoon, so we'll get right to it. The last person I need to introduce is Zach Ziegler, who is a KLCC correspondent, and we've had KLCC correspondents for all of our programs, and we're very happy to be partnering with them to do these programs. So without further ado, I'll let Zach take the microphone here, and we'll check and make sure that our guests' microphones work, and then we'll get started.
Sorry, that first day of not wearing a jacket, I realize how much stuff I carry around in my pockets and how much I have to hide in the podium now. Well, thanks, Eric, for the introduction. Once again, I'm Zach Ziegler. I'm a reporter at KLCC. I'll begin with the same statement I made last time I hosted a few weeks back. My priority is that this conversation remain civil. That is for everyone in the room, the audience, and the folks here on stage. Please keep that in mind. To those attending in person, please hold your applause until the end of the program. The people watching online, you can applaud whenever you feel like it. I'll be starting with questions that have come either from myself or some City Club members or KLCC listeners. Folks managed to send in emails. They must have been interested on this one, but we'll have time for your questions as well. As was said in the second half of the show, make sure to take advantage of those pieces of paper in front of you. They are kind of intentionally small because we're going to try and keep those questions brief. Notice I'm saying questions, not statements. So I will also try and take in those answers and kind of mix and match them. So maybe 2 or 3 get somewhat addressed if they're on the same topic. So you won't necessarily hear your question word for word. Let's see. As we get into introductions, a quick reminder that these will be 2 minutes. That's not a lot of time. And the answers will be even shorter at a little over a minute. So brevity is king today. Make sure to keep that in mind. Candidates, if you can keep half an eye on our timer. If not, I'll happily, I guess, interrupt you when it's time to do so. Let's try not to get into the point where I'm signaling to the guys in the back to cut mics. All right, so we'll open things up in alphabetical order today. So John Borofsky, you will lead us off.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to come out here and talk to everybody at the City Club. I really appreciate the opportunity. My name is John Borofsky. I'm running for Ward 3. I have lived in the ward for 23 years, and I am operating a restaurant, a business there as well, Beppe and Johnny's Trattoria. I'm the Johnny part of Beppe and Johnny's Trattoria. I've been involved in city issues over the last 20 plus years. I was on the city's budget committee back in 2008 and through 13 during the big recession. After that, I moved on to the planning commission, so I've got some knowledge of our city's budget and our land use laws and those types of things. After that, I was tapped to run for the Eugene Water and Electric Board, where I've been Ward 2 and Ward 3's representative for the last 5 years, and I'm on that as of now. I'm looking at the issues that affect my neighborhood. So those, to me, are housing and homelessness, public safety, and our city's finances. And I can dig into those more when I have a little bit more time. I'm sure there'll be some questions about those. But I just want to put out there that I've been a lifelong Democrat and have lived in the neighborhood for the time that I just said. And I'm looking forward to serving as Ward 3 City Councilor.
All right, Jennifer Smith, you're up next.
Thank you. Hello. I'm Jennifer Smith. I'm a union president, a community organizer, and the progressive Democrat running for Eugene City Council, Ward 3. I'm running on a platform of taking climate action, building affordable housing, and protecting our quality of life, which to me is embodied in our social services and our safe public spaces. I moved to Ward 3 in 1974 with my single mother who was attending Lane Community College. I went to preschool there. I was so fortunate to be able to walk to and from elementary school, Edison Elementary School. I graduated from South Eugene High School. And then I left to go away for college. I earned a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree in transportation planning from UCLA and worked as a long-range transportation planner for the County of Los Angeles. But when it was time to start a family, I moved back to Eugene. I was able to buy a starter home with my University of Oregon wages. And I've spent 20 years nearly working at the University of Oregon, and it's been my privilege to serve my co-workers as a steward with my union. And I'm currently re-elected as president of the classified employees at the University of Oregon. In this time, my son went to Edison Elementary School, graduated from South Eugene High School, and I want him to have a future here in the city. We need jobs, we need housing options, and we need to build a climate resilient future. And I've been working for the past 20 years on these issues that I care deeply about around transportation, climate, and protecting our vulnerable neighbors in various city level, county level, and state level committees, boards, and commissions on these topics. And I'm doing this because I care deeply about us, and I care deeply about our future, and I want to protect what it is that we love about Eugene and our quality of life.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our next ward representative here today, Tom Stedman.
My name's Tom Stedman. I've been here since '78. Grew up back in the Midwest. Had a job ever since I can remember, either detasseling, walking beans, baling hay, helping to wean piglets, what have you. Joined the service, been in Fort Lewis, been to Alaska, been to Panama. While in the Army, I received an Army Commendation Medal for my section readiness. While working as a civilian for the Army Corps of Engineers, I received my second Army Commendation Medal for the work that I did in detecting all the sinkholes on Fern Ridge Dam and just notifying the proper authorities the possible imminent failure of the dam. I've worked as a medic 6.5 years on Cahoots. I've also done volunteer work with the Oregon Country Fair as a medic with Whitebird. I believe that was about 7 years, 2 years working transportation or parking out at the country fair. The work I did in the private sector was with Weyerhaeuser Paper. Did a lot of work as a labor representative. I was a medic on their first responder team. I was a first lieutenant training officer for the emergency response team. And then also the labor work, representation for anybody on the mill, whether you're black, gay, lesbian, single mom. You didn't show any favoritism like some people would. And anyway, I'm on your toxic board. I volunteered on Muni Court. I'd love to be your city councilor for Ward 4 because I would love to be able to continue on, serving you and representing you on the council.
All right, and wrapping up with our second Jennifer of the day, Jennifer Yeh.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Yeh, Eugene City Councilor for Ward 4, which is Northeast Eugene. And a little bit about myself, I grew up in Oregon and moved to Eugene to attend the University of Oregon, as many people do. And after bouncing around the state for a while, my husband and I moved back to Eugene in 2007 to raise our family. And that's really when we got connected to our Eugene community. One of the first things I did was join my neighborhood association, Harlow Neighbors, and for the next decade, from being a member all the way to being board chair, I learned about my neighborhood and advocated for my neighbors and organized community service projects. And then in 2017, I was appointed to the city council. I'm running for re-election because I deeply care about my community. I work very hard to represent it well. And I continue to believe that city government is in a unique position to really make positive impacts on people's daily lives. I've had the privilege of working on many positive things here in the community. And while we still have many challenges in Eugene, we have incredible strengths as well. We are creative, we are compassionate, and we have this shared belief that local action really does matter. I'd like to use all of the relationships and the experience that I've gained over my last terms as we're going forward into these next 4 years and be a clear and consistent voice for my values when we're making decisions, when we're setting priorities, and we're approving budgets that are going to impact our community for a long time ahead of us. So thank you all for being here today.
All right, moving along to our first question. Jennifer Smith, you will lead us off on this one. Help us understand kind of your knowledge of the ward by telling us a bit about an issue that affects the constituents in it that maybe is not one that the whole city knows about or affects the whole city.
Excuse me. Ward 3 has some particular issues that are unique to Ward 3 and some that are unique to just a few wards in the city. Among those are our desire to be prepared in an emergency. Have quite a lot of forested areas in our community, and I think we should be devoting a little bit more time to building resilience hubs at our public schools, where we would have solar panels that could run our refrigeration for medication, electricity for medical devices, and they have commercial kitchens that could be a resource in an emergency. We also have incredible encroachment in our community from both inappropriate development in our neighborhoods and also university encroachment is an issue that is ever present for our neighborhood. So there are many ways to work on these issues, and it really needs to be community conversation, and we need a community process to help guide us through some of these complex issues. And also, the city needs to work on building resilience in case of climate emergency.
All right, thank you. And let's actually move down to the opposite end here. Tom Stedman, if you could answer that question for me.
First couple things that come to mind is the limited access to areas that build new residents. I think when we did the urban growth boundary, we just didn't really take it into consideration. My house was the second house built in North Eugene. At that time, when you go down Gillum, there were 3 wooden bridges. I think we need to address the ability of buildable land. The other problem is Beltline. The bridge that's being considered to be built from Good Pasture to Delta, it's going to take some more money, but it'd be really nice if we could divert some of the traffic off of Beltline. The other one is we did a huge residential housing section north of Home Depot. And it's just the way it channels traffic, our arterials that feed into it, not only Gillum but North Kenzie. It's impacted some of the schools in that area, increasing traffic, increasing hazards for the kids. The other one is the permitting process. It's difficult to get a building permit in a timely fashion. Different things or roadblocks are thrown up to.
All right, and Jennifer Ye, we'll go with you.
Yeah, thanks. I can think of 3 things that are uniquely of concerns in Ward 4. The first would be around housing costs. We have a disproportional number of renters in Ward 4 to some of the other parts of Eugene. So when rents are high or housing costs are high, it's really difficult for folks who are renting to afford their rents or to be able to buy that first home. So people are especially concerned in our neighborhood around that. The second I can think of is parks and open space in our urban canopy. Our area is also has a lower access to developed parklands and our urban canopy. And while we've made some real successes in this area with recent tree plantings, we have our new UMSO Park, we still...
Infill. We were mandated to have infill through House Bill 2001. We've seen how that is being implemented in our ward, and it's something that I would look into as a city councilor, is that being done appropriately. And another issue that we're dealing with because of the economics of our neighborhood is the short-term rentals. We have a lot of short-term rentals that are being driven by our proximity to the University of Oregon. That has livability issues, but it also has housing issues. A lot of these short-term rentals could be houses that my employees could have as their house and could send their kids to Edison Elementary. So those are 3 of the areas that I think are pertinent to Ward 3.
All right. Well, thank you very much for those answers. Our next question, the City Council this year had to deal with a pretty notable budget shortfall. It's a safe guess to say that things probably aren't going to improve notably next year. What new ideas do you have to deal with the budget crisis that is facing this city and honestly so many in Oregon right now? And Tom, we will lead off with you this time.
Okay. The position the council was in and the budget committee were in is they're not enviable. There's a lot of projects, pet projects, I think, they can't go away, they can't go to the wayside, but we're going to have to continue to carry them through. Some of the suggestions, things I've seen is there's a lot of Airbnbs in the area. A lot of them are sitting vacant right now. Some communities are actually using a vacancy tax. People are paying a vacancy tax on the residents that are empty. Other ones, a lot of the other apartment buildings that have been built, there's opportunities to capture a vacancy tax there. Or the other thing I'd like to try to consider and investigate, if there's a lot of the vacancies in these MUPTI apartments, can we use that for transitional housing for the homeless folks that are able to achieve a job and continue to work? The other thing is a friend of mine, my sons went to school together, and his father is a former GM at eWeb. He says there could be a way to capture some of the service fees that aren't being paid by the vacancies and the Airbnbs. The way I look at it, an empty house, an empty Airbnb, that's a family that's not participating in our community. It's like anybody that's an employer. Some places, for one job, they actually generate 4 other jobs. So there's opportunities out there.
Thank you very much. And let's see, next we move on to Jennifer Ye.
Yeah, so I mean, ever since I've been on council, our budgets have always been cut budgets. So it's been difficult to be making these cuts, and as we all know, as we've been making cuts over and over again, it becomes increasingly difficult to find places that aren't negatively affecting people's day-to-day lives. And we're kind of at the point where everything that we change is going to affect someone, right? It may not be every single person, but someone's going to be affected. So going forward, I'm very hesitant to be adding additional taxes to folks. We all know we're all having a hard time. Prices are going up, and having additional costs is not helpful. So I really want to look at where can we find in the budget places where we can do efficiencies. Like, are there things that we're duplicating from one department to another, and that we can have departments do cooperatively so that we can save some money there? Can we look to partners in certain circumstances to help us fill some of those gaps? But none of these decisions are going to be easy, but we do need to do them as a community and really have some hard conversations about how do we make choices that are going to least affect those of us who are the most vulnerable, who are least able to fill those gaps that are created, and how can we make sure that we're not cutting things that have unintentional consequences in other departments? Because the city is very interconnected, and we don't want to make those changes that then we have to go back and readjust. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. John Borofsky, you're up next.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that my years on the budget committee and following our budget for the last 20 years has given me some insights as to where we might be able to have efficiencies. I also, as an eWeb commissioner, have seen the impact that these new fees and charges have had on us. This last stormwater fee, although it's a city fee, it comes on your eWeb bill, and I get calls on that I'm having problems doing this. Raising more taxes or fees is difficult to a lot of people in our community, so I would lean towards other options, partnering with other agencies, with other governments to try and figure out, like Jennifer said, are there duplications? You know, one of the things that I would look into is a few years back we were looking at cutting Amazon Pool. Amazon Pool is a very great amenity to my ward, and I would look at, well, you know, the YMCA is just down the street and they're running aquatic programs. Perhaps we can partner with the YMCA and make some efficiencies there. These are the types of things that I would like to look into. I'm not saying that that's the answer, but I think that we need to start looking outside the box to figure out what we can afford and how we're going to do it in the future.
All right, thank you. And Jennifer Smith wraps up on this one.
Yeah, this is a really tight economic situation that we are in as a city, and we're not alone. Our state is having a problem economically. Other cities across the country are feeling the effects of a disinvestment from the federal government, a retraction in our communities. And we're feeling that quite strongly in areas that we really need the support most, in healthcare, in supporting affordable housing, builds, and things like that. I really support what I've heard already, vacancy tax, maybe investor-owned Airbnb tax, seeking efficiencies, certainly. But, you know, budgets are values documents. This requires an extensive community conversation about what it is that makes us feel like we have a quality of life here. And as our personal household finances get tighter, we need to have resources in our community where we can join together civically in public spaces and free activities or near free activities like the library, like our public pools, like our excellent parks that we have in our city. So I'm very hesitant to make a sweeping judgment because, again, this is a community conversation around our budget. And I anticipate working very closely with people in our ward and across our city about what it is that makes us value living in Eugene.
All right, thank you. Next question that I have for you. I'm pretty sure everyone on this stage has already mentioned the housing shortage. How do we entice builders to build more homes in the Eugene area? Jennifer Ye, you get to lead us off on this one.
Yeah, so the city does have some incentives and programs. I'm sure you've heard about some of them, our MUPD, our LERPD. We have other opportunities to have, we have our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So we do have a few tools in our toolbox, but there are not as many tools as we would like to have, right? And so, the city has continuously made adjustments to our land use code, trying to make more diverse types of housing easier to build. And we've made a lot of progress, but I think one of the things we need to remember is we can't stop, right? We have to continue looking for those opportunities to make it easier and to really think about who can we connect to that really has the information we need to make these choices? Like, I don't build housing, right? I'm not a developer, and most people on council will also not be developers, but we have people in our community who have these expertise, and we can talk to them and have these conversations and chip away at the things that can make it difficult to be housing, while we continue to keep in mind that we still have a community that needs to be protected, and we need to be doing responsible development, right? So it's a balance. So I don't know what all of those things are that we need to be adding, but I do know we're having those conversations and they need to continue.
All right, thank you. All right, next, John Borofsky.
Thank you. Well, I also serve on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Advisory Committee. And so we are doing work there. We've added almost 400 door fronts to this community in the past few years. I'm just going to throw out statistics that people may not know. Each one of those door fronts that have been added, the average cost of that is almost $300,000 per door, per apartment for affordable housing in this community. So it's a very difficult lift to get things built in our community. One of the things that will help, I think, is some of the programs that we have that were just mentioned, MUPD, LERPD, those types of things. But we also need to look at how can we raise our median income in our community, make our workers and everybody have enough money that they can pay and to rent a house or an apartment in our community. That's part of the answer as well. So we do have tools. We need to lean into those tools. We need to not vilify those tools. A lot of times I hear people talking about MUPD as a giveaway to the big developers. For me, if we have tools that we can use that are low cost and get door fronts in our community, that's something that I would lean into as a city councilor.
All right, thank you. And Jennifer Smith, next.
Affordable housing and housing in general, not exactly the same thing. I am not personally convinced that developers building market rate housing helps our affordable housing situation in our city. I have yet to see a trickle-down effect of market rate apartments becoming affordable. So I'm concerned about, yes, giveaways to out-of-state developers seeking to extract value out of our community, a community that we've built value in over the last 60 years through our investments in our neighborhoods and our communities, and now that's very attractive to builders. And they are interested in one thing, and that's profit. So as we're seeing builders build, even using MUPTI, they're not building affordable housing units. They are using the option to give money to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And we do have trouble citing those affordable housing developments. So it's a really complex issue, and I am concerned with making sure that our public investments have measurable, targeted policy outcomes that are meeting our goals. And right now, we don't need just housing. We do need housing options, but we need affordable housing, and that's a key component of our economic development moving forward.
Thank you. And Tom Sedman, you get to wrap us up on this one.
I'm not a really big fan of MUPTI, but I have to tell you, I think it's given traction to actually putting us in the right direction to build some affordable housing. It's taken us, I think, 10 years to get our first return on it. I think we just made $1 million off of the first MUPTI project. I think the other big problem is livability. The jobs that are being created that we have right now is just, people can't afford to buy a house. We have Amazon coming in, but I'm not sure what else we could be looking at coming down the pipe. The other problem is part of the permitting process, from talking to people, people building new businesses, expanding businesses is something I've heard about in the last week. When you have a permit and you go to the city, whoever, to get part of the building approved, or the permit approved, they have these, they encounter problems with, they find a flaw, something's not right, then it starts another clock. They can't do anything for like 10 days. When they come back out, they find something else wrong. That starts a second clock, I think it's like 14 days, 20 days. But it's like a continual cycle. It's like, why can't we find these problems when you come out the second time or the first time? And what happens is it creates these weather windows. When it starts raining, it actually increases the cost. I mean, they have to bring in more gravel, they have to bring in more product, and it can actually create a 5-month delay on their whole building process.
Tom, thank you very much. All right, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, let everyone stretch their legs, and hand in the questions that you might have for these candidates. And we'll be back in just a bit. No, you can just.
7 p.m. In the metro area of Lane County, they're broadcast on 89.7 FM and in Florence on 88.1 FM. For those listening at home or in transit right now, your household is one of several thousand tuning into City Club on KLCC. We're grateful and honored to have you. You can also find all recent City Club programs archived at klcc.org, as well as on our YouTube channel and the City Club of Eugene podcast.
right. Welcome back, everyone. We'll now move into some of the questions that have been submitted from various places. So let's start off, let's keep on the topic of housing at least a little bit. As we consider new housing, one spot where there seems to be no shortage of interest for builders is around the University of Oregon, particularly when it comes to high-rise development. But those high-rise developments can often move into areas that have some rather historic neighborhoods and change the feeling of those neighborhoods, oftentimes to the residents who live there, not for the best. We do know that the University of Oregon does have plans for an expansion on its east side. Developers have shown interest in other spots. So, is building up around the University of Oregon something that the city should foster the idea of to create space elsewhere in town? And let's see, I believe this one, last time we went to, or we started with Jennifer, so it's back around to you, John.
Well, I think this is probably pointed to Ward 3 because we are the ones that are in the most proximity to the university. Yes, that's an issue that I've been leaning into as a board member of the Fairmont Neighborhood Association. The university right now is planning their East Campus expansion. As the neighbors, we've looked at how can we be compatible and maintain our livability and the transition from what we knew when we moved in there was a university and an attribute to our neighborhood, but yet we want to maintain our character and our livability of our neighborhood. Leaning into the land use laws that are on the books right now is something that as a neighborhood we've pursued. We want to be a partner with the university and make sure that what is being built will last for the next 50 to 100 years, and our neighborhood will also be an integral part of the university life, and the university will be an integral part of our lives.
All right, thank you. Jennifer Smith.
So yeah, we need affordable housing. We need more affordable housing. We need to build it. And I support actually dense housing. And there's a smart way to do that. And I think for affordability, it's important to build densely around transit corridors where people have an option to live without needing a car. I'm really encouraged by a city's concept, actually also mandated by the state, climate-friendly areas, so that other neighborhoods can have what we have in Ward 3, which is walkable, bikeable, and transit-friendly areas. The city has designated downtown Eugene and South Coburg Road area as climate-friendly areas where you'd be able to access services like childcare and grocery and your dentist within walking distance. And this is a quality of life that everyone deserves. It's a quality of life that we have in Ward 3. Eugene is a city of neighborhoods, and people move here for the quality of neighborhood life. And it's disturbing to see developers try to cash in on our neighborhood quality of life and destroy it in extracting profit from it. So I do support housing. There's in denser housing, but there's a smart way to do it, and we can do it cleverly and mildly in infill developments, and we can do it denser along transit corridors.
All right. Tom Sebman, your turn.
I hadn't even considered the point that John had made of neighborhood livability. And the thing with some of the apartments that they're building right now downtown, it's almost becoming like a concrete canyon. They're just not really appealing, not fun to look at. But on the other side of the coin, I have concerns of what we have going on down at, Kins Row. We have the violence, the shootings, the gang activity, and that's part of the university system too, but not affiliated with the university, but it's really a lot of student housing. So I think we really need to caution how we expand and where we expand. I know I'm pretty sure the university.
Are university where students are trying to get back and forth without using cars. But that doesn't mean there shouldn't be a transition, right? We don't want these jarring changes in our community where you go from these single family homes, all of a sudden there's this huge, 10, 12-story building right next door. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have these nice transitions between neighborhoods that people expect to see, and that's what I think is a responsible growth and responsible multifamily housing when we have these kind of transition zones within our neighborhoods, and what people are really looking for when they think about a neighborhood that is mixed use and has these different types of housing types. So that is my preference as we're moving forward. I'm not going to talk about this specific thing. We're going through the process of this particular land use. I hope people will stay involved and continue to communicate about it. And I think we're all going to learn a lot about this particular project, being able to think about how we deal with that whole university area, because it won't be the last project like this probably.
So sadly, most of this city is no stranger to pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities and traffic accidents. Vision Zero is making some progress, but we have seen state funding for projects that could help with pedestrian and bicyclist safety start to lose funding. How do we continue to push for these improvements when everyone who could possibly pay for them is cash strapped? That's evidently a harder phrase to say than I thought. So Jennifer Smith, please lead us off.
We have seen a decline in our progress towards Vision Zero, towards zero traffic fatalities. Since COVID, people are driving faster, they're driving more recklessly, they're running red lights, and they are not sharing the road with other users. We've had some really painful to our community traffic deaths recently, especially around the university. And speed plays a huge factor in that. We need to slow our traffic speeds down. There's a speed at which if you get hit by a car, you will die. And there are speeds where if you get hit by a car, you will break something, but you will not die. And when we are moving around our communities and we're trying to encourage a lower fossil fuel use, and we're trying to say, hey, get out of your car, to take a walk, use your bike, and it doesn't feel safe to do so, and it literally is not safe to do so, that message really falls flat. So I encourage that we continue the good work that we're doing in building out our bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. It's very important to continue to upgrade our sidewalks and maybe revise our policy around our sidewalks. And we need to slow our traffic speeds down and create neighborhood streets that behave as streets that work for all users.
All right, thank you. Tom Sedman.
If I remember right, we've got the numbers have come down a little bit, but our pedestrian fatalities have actually gone up. They appear to be happening like in our arterials that bring people into town, whether it's on 99 or over in Bethel and that. And the problem is that in some of those cases we can't put in traffic calming devices because of the service areas for our fire trucks, EMS. The problem that we have also is that we need to be able to make that transition from, let's say, River Road to Highway 99, farther up on Maxwell. We need to make that transition from Roosevelt to through 99. I think that's because of our enterprise zone. We're going to be having more jobs over there, I believe. We got the Amazon facility. There's really no safe way for people on bikes, pedestrians, what have you, to make that transition over. The other thing, well, I'm not going to get into that, sorry. That'd be nitpicking. But no, it's also we need to look at where we have multiple lanes. We don't see really that many fatalities, accidents. It's more so in the one-ways because people are just trying to, no, I take it back. The one-ways are actually better. The two-ways, it's people actually challenging each other to get around, to get to where they need to be. But
All right. Thank you, sir. Yeah. All right, Jennifer Ye.
Yeah, I think the first thing that our community needs to do is to shift our thinking from that traffic crashes are these accidents that we have no control over to recognizing that we have actually quite a bit of control over these things. The first is our built environment, right? While our infrastructure is expensive, and as the question alluded to, we have limited funds to be able to make changes to our transportation system. Changes to our transportation system can make us safer. That's been proven. Very data driven. So as we do have resources like our road bonds that our voters were I'm very thankful that folks supported it, and there is money in there for pedestrian and bike infrastructure. We're able to make these changes that make our roads safer. And the second is we need to change our behaviors. Many road crashes in our community are the direct result of impaired drivers, of distracted drivers, just trying to beat the light because we think we can. And these are all behaviors that we can change, that we have as a community control over. So just that one shift in our thinking can make quite a big impact as we're waiting for the federal and state to have more resources that then we can apply. And then I think, I'm out of time. Okay.
John Borofsky, you get to wrap us up here.
Thank you. I think we all identified the issue before us. The question was, how are we funding that? I've been on the street bond review panel since its inception. Every time that it's gotten renewed, we have increased funding for bicycle and pedestrian safeties. And the City Council has taken our recommendations and moved those forward. So there are a couple of ways that we can make sure that these projects get funded. One is through the street bond review and the street bond money that is out there that the voters have said we want to approve of these things and pay for them. The second is our transportation system plan. This is something that is enacted by council on a 5 to 15-year basis. And all of the projects are in there. Once the projects are in there, there's a way to start funding those. So advocating for more of these safety projects in our transportation system plan and advocating for a larger percentage of the street bond money to go to bicycle and pedestrian safety is something that I would have leaned into in the past and have leaned into and will lean into going forward. In the last TSP, I advocated for traffic calming, which was at $35,000 a year for the whole city, to move it up to $100,000 a year, and that passed, and so we're getting more traffic calming in our city.
All right, thank you. Next question. So Ideal Option will run a one-year pilot program to bring back some of the services that Cahoots offered in the city. Even with the tight budget, do we need to allocate more money to bring back more alternative response services? And Tom Sedman, you get to lead us off on this one.
I don't see Cahoots coming back for a long time, or a model of Cahoots. Trying to find the medics and the crisis people to work that, it's just, I think the best you could hope for is like from 11 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't believe Ideal Options is the answer. Article I read is that they, and this is similar to what we did in Cahoots, we had what we called frequent flyers. You're only serving a really small pocket of the community, like maybe 12 to 15 people. The other problem is Ideal Options has actually created more of a financial burden on our public safety people. EMS has increased calls because Ideal Options, if I remember right, they cannot provide medical service. The other problem that I personally believe is that Ideal Options will be setting us up for a liability, a lawsuit. And I talked to some people in the fire department, and it's entirely possible that it could happen based upon abandonment issues. If you get a call out to help somebody They might have a medical options, you cannot serve it. And if you leave, because you got another call, that's called abandonment. And if EMS or whoever comes back upon it in an hour, 2 hours, and they're no longer a viable client or patient, that's on the city, because they are a contractor with the city.
All right. Sorry, John, you're out of
Sorry.
time on that one.
Sorry.
All right.
I could
It's all
have gone
good.
on, but
All right, Jennifer Yee.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're going to have to look at the data and wait and see. You know, the services that are provided within our community are different than what were provided when Cahoots first began. You know, we have services coming from Lane County now. We have services that are downtown, and now we're adding this new service. So many of us, I think, are concerned. I am concerned that we're making a change into what we were offering before. But I also believe our fire chief is highly skilled, knows the community very well, has done his research, and I am willing.
Jennifer Smith.
We are national leaders in non-police crisis response, and Cahoots was a wonderful program that served ably our city, and it has been a big loss. And we have not replaced it. We are going to try what we can with the funds we have available. But, you know, we need universal health care, to be honest, to solve some of these problems. We need a lot more support from the federal government. These are issues, crisis issues that have been building for decades. And so we're chipping away, and we're doing what we can, and we're holding steady until there's a reorientation towards our nation's communities. You know, for a successful program, we need to have someone to call, someone to show up, and some safe place to go. And we do not have all three of those pieces yet. And it is a collaboration with our county and state partners to achieve comprehensive public health for our community. And we're going to do what we can with the resources we have available, and it's just not enough. And it won't be enough until we have our partnerships back with the federal government. But I congratulate us on moving forward and building what we can and having programs in place that we can scale up when those opportunities arise.
All right, thank you. We're going to move along to a quick 1-minute closing statement from each of our candidates here so far. So please feel free to take a minute to, if there was something you needed to elaborate on, if you want to wrap things up, make any final pitch, that's your time for it. And Jennifer Yee, we will start with you on this one.
Yeah, so again, I'm Jennifer Yee, City Councilor for Ward 4. And I just want to thank everyone for being here today. I think we often don't have an opportunity to all be together and to have conversations and talk about things that are really important to us. And so this is a great time it's not just about the campaign, it's also about listening to each other and hearing about what our priorities are. And I truly believe that Eugene is a community that takes action and looks towards the future. And what we all want is a community where we all feel hopeful about the future, where we all feel seen, and where we all feel that our time is valuable when we interact with our city. And that's what I hope our city government is able to provide.
All right, thank you. And sorry I mispronounced your name on that one. I think I got it right the rest of the time. All right, John Borofsky, you're up next.
Thank you. Yes, just as a longtime citizen of Eugene, I'm bullish on Eugene. I'm very excited about the direction that we're going, and I really want to hopefully play a part of that. I think my experience over the past 20 plus years being a civic involved in our community on several boards, commissions, neighborhood associations, and as a small business owner that's employing people in our community, I think I bring a voice to the city council that will help us move our community forward. And that's what I'm hoping to do as a city councilor. And if you guys feel inclined to support me, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Jennifer Smith.
I am from Eugene. I grew up here. I went away to college to earn a master's in planning and then came back and got a master's in public administration from the University of Oregon, where I have been the president of the Classified Employees Union there, working with a diverse group of people to build power around issues that matter to us, around issues of economic security, around issues of community safety. I have spent the last 20 years working on various committees around pedestrian safety, around appropriate missing middle housing, around protecting our vulnerable communities like our immigrant community. And I want us to make a city where my son has a future, where he has the ability to afford to live here, where we might not get rich, but we can achieve economic security, where we are protecting our natural environment and the things that we love about Eugene. We're a wonderful place. We're a very desirable place to be, and I want to protect that and move us forward to be even better.
Thank you. And Tom Stedman, you get the last word on this today.
This is something I wasn't even aware of until this morning. Had a conversation with a couple. They were down from Seattle. He was a cardiovascular surgeon. He was here for a retirement party for some friends. They were at the cold brew. There were 70 surgeons, doctors in this one room. And their big question was, what's happened to Eugene? Why isn't Eugene as viable as we remember? You know, they saw where the University District Hospital was gone. They saw that the M's are leaving. And these are all doctors that, you know, we're talking like the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Walter Reed. There's a hospital in Chicago. Anyway, they're leaving. These are all like top shelf doctors. They're not going to be here anymore. And what's being replaced are like, and they were trying to be pleasant, but I would just interpret it, the doctors coming in to backfill are like doctors with C's and B's. The problem they're running into is that Eugene is not as livable as it used to be. There's no housing available for their staff. They need qualified staff of the same caliber as them, but there's really not a lot of places for them to live. The other thing is, like, when they saw the University District was gone, they brought up, and it was like back when Mayor Tory was here, we had proposals to make a residency group here in Eugene. That would have given us an automatic pipeline for doctors to come in that we know that have been trained by the best, and those opportunities are gone. So it's another reason that the council has to get on the ball and do what it's going to take to make Eugene that much more viable and desirable.
All right. Thank you to the candidates. Thank you for everyone here. And I will hand things back over to the good folks of City Club.
This has been our April 24th, 2026 conversation at the City Club of Eugene. We'll be back next week here at Wow Hall in downtown Eugene on Friday, May 1st at noon. This program will be Law Day, Building Better Citizens. Thank you all. Have a great weekend or week, and we'll see you